Good morning students, this is 12th class biology, chapter 13, organisms and population, and this is lecture number 1 of this chapter. Topics to be discussed in this lecture are organism and its environment, different types of habitat, abiotic factors. In abiotic factors we will discuss about temperature and water. As this chapter is under the unit ecology, so first of all we need to know what is ecology. So ecology is the study of interactions among organisms and between the organism and its physical environment. Physical environment means abiotic environment. So all the abiotic factors like light, temperature, soil will come under this. So interaction of any organism with other organisms, or you can say with biotic factors. All other organisms will come under biotic factors, and also with abiotic factors means with physical environment. So all that interaction comes under ecology, right? Now ecology is concerned with 4 levels of biological organization. So we can say there are 4 levels of ecology. Or we can say at which these are 4 levels at which we can study interaction of any organism with its biotic and abiotic factors, right? So at these 4 levels we can study about ecology, or we can study about the interactions among organisms between the organisms and its abiotic environment. So these are 4 levels. First is organisms, second is populations, third is communities, and fourth is biomes. These are 4 levels of ecology, and in this chapter we will study the ecology at organisms and population level, right? So about these first 2 levels we will study in this chapter. So let's start organisms and its environment. So here this is the first level of ecology, you can say ecology at organismic level. This is also called physiological ecology, and then at this level of ecology we will study about the adaptations of an organism to environments in terms of survival and reproduction, that how different organisms living in different types of habitats have different adaptations to survive in that environment and to reproduce in that environment. Okay, so at this level of ecology we will study about different adaptations of organisms to live in different environment, to survive in different environments, and to reproduce in that environment. Now before studying these adaptations of organisms, we need to know that how these different habitats are formed, how these organisms are living in different habitats, right? So the rotation of Earth and the tilt of its axis cause annual variation in temperature and season. Okay, what is the reason behind different temperature, behind the variations in temperature and different seasons? That is rotation of Earth, right? Due to rotation of Earth there are different seasons, and there is variations in temperature also. So due to that, major biomes like desert, rainforest, tundra, so all these are different biomes. So these different biomes are formed due to these variations, like variations in temperature and precipitation. Precipitation means rainfall and snowfall, right? So these biomes, all these major biomes like desert, rainforest, all these are formed due to temperature variations and due to precipitation variations. Now within a biome there are many habitats, and how these different habitats are formed within one biome? These are formed due to regional and local variations within a biome, right? So regional and local variations within a biome lead to the formation of different habitats, right? So there are major biomes which are formed due to rotation of Earth, or you can say which are formed due to variation in temperature and precipitation, and within these major biomes there are different habitats also. which are formed due to regional and local variations. In this diagram, you can see different biome distribution with respect to annual temperature and precipitation, because these biomes are formed due to variation in temperature and precipitation, right? So here on one side of this graph, mean annual precipitation is shown, right? Mean annual precipitation starting from 50 centimeter, and then 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, like this. So this is showing mean annual precipitation. And on another side of the graph, there is mean annual temperature in degree Celsius. So it is starting from minus 15 degrees Celsius, then minus 10 degrees Celsius, then minus 5 degrees Celsius, then 0 degrees Celsius, after that 5 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius, like this. Okay. Now these different biomes are shown here. Like from the lower side, you can see Arctic and Alpine tundra, then coniferous forest, then temperate forest, tropical forest, desert and grassland. Okay, and with all these biomes, you can see the mean annual precipitation and the mean annual temperature also. So questions like such questions can be asked from this graph, like you need to tell that which of the biome is having the highest mean annual temperature. Then you can easily tell grasslands, right? Grassland and also sometimes tropical forest can have mean annual temperature, right? And which biome has highest mean annual precipitation. So that also you can match from here. Highest mean annual precipitation is in tropical forest. Then lowest mean annual precipitation is found in which area, in which biome. So you can tell according to that. Okay, so such questions are asked based on this graph. You need to tell that in which biome there is highest mean annual precipitation, highest mean annual temperature, lowest mean annual temperature and lowest mean annual precipitation. After that, it is about different types of habitat, you can say. So life exists even in extreme and harsh habitats, right? There are different organisms which are found in very extreme and harsh habitats also. For example, in Rajasthan desert. In Rajasthan desert also different organisms are found. In rain-soaked Meghalaya forest. Meghalaya forest which are rain-soaked. In those also life is possible. Deep ocean trenches, as you can see here in picture, deep ocean trenches, life is possible there also. In torrential streams, as you can see here in the picture, in torrential streams also, the streams which are flowing at a very high speed, okay, those streams are called torrential streams. So in those streams also life is possible. So we can say that life exists even in extreme and harsh habitats. So all these are harsh habitats, and in all these harsh habitats also life is possible. Then permafrost polar regions. Permafrost polar region means which are snow laden all the time. Okay, so here in the picture you can see this snow laden polar regions. So here also life exists. Then high mountain tops, in that area that area also life exists. Thermal springs in which temperature is very high. At that very high temperature also many bacteria exist, right? In compost pits also many microbes are present. Okay, so life exists in these harsh habitats also. The physicochemical components, the physicochemical components include all the abiotic factors like water, light, temperature, soil, etc. Okay, so all these are abiotic components. And biotic components like all the living organisms, right? All the living organisms, these will include all the pathogens. For any organism, here we are talking about the adaptation of any organism. Okay, we are studying the ecology at organismic level, right? So here we are talking about one organism. So with respect to one organism, what will be the biotic components? Pathogens means the microbes which can cause disease in that organism, right? There can be parasites for that organism, there can be predators for that organism, and there can be competitors for that organism. So we can say all these living organisms act as biotic components for that particular organism. So all these abiotic components and these biotic components lead to variation of different habitats, right? The distinct role and position of an organism in its environment is called its niche, right? It is called NICHE, that is niche. So what is niche? Like any organism is present in any habitat. Okay, so what is the particular role, what is the distinct role and the position of that organism in that environment? Like it is playing role of a parasite, it is playing role of a predator, or it is playing role of a pathogen. Okay, so what is the role of that organism, what is the position of that particular organism in its environment? That is called niche of that organism, right? So there are different niche for different organisms living in same habitat, right? In same habitat there can be different types of organisms, so we can say those organisms are having different niche. So by this, each organism tolerates various conditions, utilizes various resources, etc., right? Because there are different niche for different organisms, so various conditions can be tolerated by different organisms according to their environment, and all the resources are utilized by the organism which are present in the environment. So now we will talk about the biotic and abiotic components affecting any living organism. So let's start with the abiotic factors which can affect an organism. So these are main abiotic factors: temperature, water, light and soil. So first of all we will talk about temperature, that how temperature affect any living organism. Okay, how this abiotic component is responsible for the for affecting the distribution of any organism in any habitat. So temperature, first of all, first abiotic factor you can say, most ecologically relevant environmental factor, right? Temperature on land varies seasonally, right? Because according to season temperature also varies. It gradually decreases from equator to the poles. On the equator temperature is very high, and as we go towards the pole temperature decreases. And also it decreases from plains to mountain tops, right? In plains temperature is high, but when we go towards the mountain tops temperature goes on decreasing, right? It ranges from sub-zero levels in the polar areas. So in polar areas and in high altitudes temperature is at sub-zero level, and in tropical deserts it is very high, like more than 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, in tropical areas it is found more than 50 degrees Celsius, while in polar areas and at high altitudes it can be less than 0 degree. So at sub-zero levels it can be, right? So there is so much variation in temperature, right, from area to area, and from also it varies seasonally. From area to area it varies, and it also varies seasonally. So average temperature in thermal springs and deep sea hydrothermal vents exceed 100 degrees Celsius, and in such a high temperature also life exists. Some bacteria can exist at that high temperature also, at more than 100 degrees Celsius also. Now mango trees cannot grow in temperate countries like in Canada, Germany, etc. Okay, because there is requirement of a particular temperature for the growth and development of mango trees. So these mango trees cannot grow in temperate countries, right? There is no snow leopard in Kerala forest because a particular temperature is required for the snow leopard also. So that is not found in Kerala forest. Tuna fishes are rare beyond tropical latitudes in the ocean. So by these examples you can understand that a particular organism is found in a particular habitat, and in a particular habitat you can say according to temperature they can survive at a particular temperature only. Like mango trees cannot survive in low temperature areas. Snow leopard cannot survive at high temperature. Okay, so a particular temperature is required for the survival of different organisms. Now, why this temperature is affecting the distribution of these organisms? Why these organisms cannot be found anywhere in the world? So, how this temperature is affecting the distribution of organisms? So, let's talk about that. Why? Because temperature affects kinetics of enzyme. Kinetics of enzymes means, different enzymes are found in our body. Okay, and those enzymes are involved with the different metabolic reactions inside our body, right? Different metabolic reactions are going on inside our body, and those enzymes are helping in carrying out those metabolic reactions inside our body, right? Now what happened? Temperature affects the kinetics of those enzymes. Like the enzymes in our body are adapted to work at a particular temperature only. Okay, if those enzymes will get the high temperature or the low temperature, then what will happen? That will affect the kinetics of enzyme, and that will indirectly affect our metabolism, or you can say the basal metabolism, the metabolic reactions which are going inside our body. Okay, so when the metabolism will be affected, our physiological functions will be affected, right? So we can say temperature affects the kinetics of enzymes, which in turn affect the basal metabolism, and our effect on our metabolism will affect the physiological functions of the body or any of the organism, right? That's why temperature is very important, and that's why temperature affects the distribution of organisms. Okay, so this last line is very important, that how temperature affects the distribution of any organism. Temperature affects the distribution of any organism by affecting the kinetics of enzyme, which affect the basal metabolism, and which in turn affect the physiological functions of any organism. Now, based on range of thermal tolerance, or you can say temperature tolerance, organisms are of two types, eurythermal and stenothermal. Eurythermal organisms are those organisms which can tolerate a wide range of temperatures, okay, which can survive on in low temperature areas also, and in very high temperature areas also. Okay, so we can say a wide range of temperatures can be tolerated by these organisms. Like us, you can say like human being. Okay, temperature, when in winters temperature is very low, we can work in that temperature also, we can survive in that temperature also, and when temperature is very high in summer, in that temperature also we are working. Okay, we can survive. So those organisms are called eurythermal organisms. They can tolerate a wide range of temperatures. Then stenothermal organisms are those organisms which can tolerate only a narrow range of temperatures. Either they will survive at very low temperature, or they will survive at very high temperature. Okay, some of the stenothermal organisms can survive only at low temperature, while some of the stenothermal organisms can survive only in high temperature, right? So these organisms which can tolerate only a narrow range of temperatures are called stenothermal organisms. So here you can see example of both these lion, cat, dog, these are eurythermal, and these reptiles, here you can see these two reptiles, these are stenothermal, right? Next abiotic component is water. So second most important factor, you can say, after temperature, second most important factor which affect the distribution of organisms is water. Desert organisms have special adaptations to limited water, right? Very less amount of water is available to desert organisms. So those organisms are adapted according to that. Those organisms can survive in the deficiency of water also. Those are adapted according to that. Productivity and distribution of plants is dependent on water. Because according to water availability, different type of plants are found in different areas. Okay, so we can say productivity and distribution of plants is affected by water, or that is dependent on water. For aquatic organisms, water quality, not only the amount of water, means not only the quantity of water, also quality of water affect the distribution of organism. Okay, so here we will talk about the quality of water. So for aquatic organisms, water quality means the chemical composition of the water, pH of the water. Okay, so these two things are very important. Also the salt concentration, that is also called salinity. Salt concentration means salinity, or salinity in parts per thousand, PPT. Okay, that is called PPT, parts per thousand, salinity in parts per thousand, that is counted in PPT. So salt concentration in water is also very important factor that affect the distribution of organisms. Like here you can see different salt concentrations found in different types of water. Like there is less than 5 in inland waters. Okay, salt concentration, or you can say salinity in parts per thousand is less than 5 in inland waters. Okay, here in the first picture you can see, then 30 to 35 in the sea, and it is more than 100 in hypersaline lagoons. Okay, so you can say the water in hypersaline lagoons have very high salinity. Okay, so highest salinity is found in hypersaline lagoons, then in sea water, and in inland waters the salt concentration is very low. It is only less than 5 parts per thousand. Okay, so these different salinity are found in different types of water. That's why different types of organisms are found in these waters. Different types of organisms are found in inland waters, then in sea some different types of organisms are present, and in hypersaline lagoons some other types of organisms are present. So salt concentration of water affects the distribution of organisms, and also the other water quality factors like chemical composition, pH, these are also very important. Now based on the tolerance to salinity water, here we are talking about water. So based on the tolerance to salinity, organisms are of two types, euryhaline and stenohaline. So these are also like that of eurythermal and stenothermal. Okay, like eurythermal organisms can tolerate a wide range of temperature. So likewise here euryhaline organisms can tolerate a wide range of salinity, and stenohaline organisms can tolerate a narrow range of salinity, right? So euryhaline, stenohaline. Then many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa, because the freshwater animals are adapted according to that environment, according to that water, and seawater organisms are adapted according to the seawater. Okay, that's why the freshwater animals cannot live in seawater, and seawater animals cannot survive in freshwater, right? What happened here? What problem occur here? Why these organisms cannot survive in the freshwater or in seawater? Because of the osmotic problem. Okay, osmotic problems is related to the osmosis. You know about the osmosis, that water flow from its higher concentration to its lower concentration, right? Now what happens? Salinity is more in seawater while salinity is less in freshwater. Okay, so freshwater animals are adapted according to the freshwater. You can say the low salinity, according to the low salinity, while seawater animals are adapted according to the high salinity. Okay. Now, when any freshwater animal will be kept in seawater or the vice versa, then osmosis problem will occur there. Means the transport of water can occur from the organism's body to the outside or from the outside towards the organism body. Okay, these type of problems can occur when freshwater animals are kept in seawater or the vice versa, right? So these are called osmotic problems, and this is the reason behind it. About other abiotic factors we will do in next lecture. Now based on today's topics, your homework is NCERT question number 2 and 4.